Here's an idea that quietly unlocks a huge amount of Python. A function is a value, exactly like a number or a string. That single realization means you can store a function, pass it into another function, and even return one. It sounds abstract, but we'll make it concrete with 3 short demos: assign, pass, and return. If a function is a value, you can put it into a variable. The whole trick, and the thing beginners trip on, is doing it without calling the function. Shout uppercases text. Now watch the crucial line, yell equals shout, with no parentheses. That grabs the function object itself, not the result of running it. So yell and shout become 2 names pointing at one and the same function. No parentheses here. We point yell at the function object itself. If we'd written shout with parentheses, we'd store its result instead. That one difference is the entire concept. So now calling yell does precisely what calling shout does. Both names work, and both shout back in capitals. 1 function, 2 labels. Proof that a function is just a value you can hand to a variable. If a function is a value, you can also pass it into another function as an argument. A function that accepts another function is called a higher order function, and it's an incredibly flexible pattern. Apply takes 2 things, a function and a value. Inside, it simply calls that function on the value. We hand double in as the first argument. Again, no parentheses because we're passing the function, not its result. Func is a parameter that will hold whatever function we pass in. Inside, we call whatever arrived, func of value. And here we pass double itself into apply. Apply runs double on 5 to get 10, and on 20 to get 40. The behavior came entirely from the function we chose to pass in. Here's why this matters. We define a second function, negate, that flips a numbers sign. Then we drop negate into the very same apply. Without changing a single line of apply, same machine, different tool inserted. A different one-argument function. This one negates its input. We hand negate into the identical apply we used before. Now apply of negate, and 5 gives -5. We change the outcome purely by swapping the function. Apply itself never moved. Real quick, if this is clicking for you, tap that like button. It genuinely helps other beginners find the series. And hit subscribe so the next episode lands right in your feed. The third move? Because functions are values, a function can build and hand back another function. The caller receives a fresh, ready-to-use function. MakeGreeter is our outer function. It takes nothing in. Inside, it defines a small greet function, and then it returns that greet. The function object itself, not the result of calling it. MakeGreeter defines greet inside, then returns it. Watch the 2-step dance. We call MakeGreeter once to get the function back into G, and then we call G to actually run the greet. Greet is defined inside the outer function. We return greet, the function object, with no parentheses. G now holds that returned function, so G of nothing runs it. Calling G runs the greet we received, and out comes hello. A function returned another function. In Python, that's completely ordinary. Because functions are values, you can even pick which one to use while the program is running. Store the chosen function in a variable, then call it. That's a genuinely powerful pattern. We have 2 converter functions. We assign one of them to use, then call use. Swap which function we store, and the behavior changes, without touching the call at the bottom. Two ordinary functions, each a value we can point at. Use now holds the Celsius function itself, and calling use runs whichever function we chose. 212 Fahrenheit is 100 Celsius, We selected the function dynamically, and it just worked. The classic real use of first-class functions: write one helper that does the repetitive part and pass in a function for the part that changes. Twice applies whatever function you give it 2 times in a row. Pass double and 5 becomes 20. Pass add, 10, and 5 becomes 25. One helper, endless behaviors. Do twice calls the past function on its own result. Twice. Double applied twice to 5. And add 10 applied twice to 5. 20 from doubling twice. 25 from adding 10 twice. The helper never changed. Only the function we handed it. Before you go, the entire Python 0 to Pro playlist is linked in the description. Bookmark it and binge the rest in order. Assign them, pass them, return them. Functions are first-class citizens in Python. Next, we'll see what happens when a returned function remembers the values around it. That's a closure.